that is Nelson Chamisa, posted a video, I think 13 hours ago with a sound, which suggests that he is actually distancing himself from joining other political parties, which will be actually conducting their press briefing. It will be opposition political parties. There will be representatives of the church, representatives of also the teachers, representatives of workers union. I think they tried to embrace everybody, though the who's and the who's in the politics of Zimbabwe have not been embraced. Now there have been numerous calls for also Nelson Chamisa to come on board as everyone's ideas at this crucial point in Zimbabwe are needed. But from this video, I think Nelson Chamisa is suggesting walking alone. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So let me post what Nelson Chamisa actually posted on his X account. I would be playing it. I know there are some people who are coming all of a sudden questioning how I work. This is how I work at the moment. This is where I am. I don't want to pretend to be somewhere else. So if people have to be comfortable with what I'm actually working on. So I'll be playing an audio of what Nelson Chamisa posted. Let's hope the network would not disappoint me.
The man starts walking alone, it doesn't mean he's broke.
You see, I'm worried it's the network. Let me try to maybe use my data and take it again.
Okay. It means he's finally dangerous. He's been betrayed,
Let
lied to.
let me
The man
begin.
starts walking alone.
Let me begin it from the beginning.
The man starts walking alone, it doesn't mean he's broken. It means he's finally dangerous. He's been betrayed, lied to, used. He's seen loyalty turn fake and promises shatter like glass. But that pain didn't destroy him. It woke him up. Now his trust has changed. It doesn't belong to crowds anymore. It belongs to purpose, to peace, to authenticity. He's done chasing attention. He's building in silence. And you might look at him and see loneliness. You might mistake his silence for sadness. But you'd be wrong. What you call isolation, he calls focus. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's building an empire, quietly, patiently, relentlessly. His greatest fear isn't being alone. It's wasting his life on fake love, false friends, and empty loyalty. So don't mistake his guard for a cold heart. He's not unkind. He's just learned the hard way. Being leaves the deepest scars. That's why he protects his energy like gold. That's why he moves alone. Not because he's lost, but because he's finally been found.
Okay, so what Nelson Chamisa, I think I could see. Let me to show that I'm not the only one who is actually perceiving what he is simply saying, because that's a statement on its own, taking into consideration what is happening in Zimbabwe at the moment. We'll try to read some few comments. People get to actually comment on what he was saying. Someone says is okay. Someone says, Nelson, ma semantics, fambai pam. The only Zimbabwe we have is one. If we let it slide into abyss due to minor differences, it will be too late to salvage Zimbabwe. What separates us is so little and small than what should be uniting us. So it's someone who is saying that. But as a nation, we can't wait while the constitution gets mutilated simply because the players to run along with can or will betray us. What happens when the bill to hold elections passes to 2030? What then? Jesus worked with Judas, knowing he was wisdom must be adapted. These are people who are commenting. Someone says this message is undeniable. The journey is defined not by the way you begin, but by how you finish. It is crucial to understand how to succeed in the game. As many prominent figures have failed in their missions, Morgan Tsvangirai came close, but he lacked the strategy to checkmate his opponent. Know your path to victory. Someone says, you're 100% correct, NC. All these characters who wants you to join their causes were numb when elections were stolen. They can't pretend to have found their voices now. You have worked with most of these guys before, and I can guarantee you that they haven't changed. Someone says, no nation is built in silence and loneliness. You need people to build a nation, no matter how many times you have been betrayed. Even in Chimrenga, times, times they were betrayers, but they overcome because the purpose was greater and they continue the fight. I think anyway, it is a democratic right for Nelson Chamisa to make his own independent decision, just like any other person. But I am of the opinion, of which I can't impose that opinion, or any person in that matter cannot impose that opinion to him. His side through that video, I can understand the feeling of being disappointed. Citing that, he has walked this journey and there has been a lot of disappointment from his former colleagues. It's him and the colleagues who actually knows better. But equally so, at the moment, what I think everyone is envisaging is for everybody in Zimbabwe to try and unite this time around for the purposes of dealing with the now problem. The now problem, Mnangagwa wants to erase elections completely. For example, what he did to Nelson Chamisa, it shows that he is an individual who does not want opposition to exist. So, if Nelson Chamisa, I think the only way that Nelson Chamisa can contest power, it is through elections, hoping they will be free, fair, and credible. He has done it twice. With the hope that maybe someone somewhere around the globe will actually see that ZANU-PF is rigging elections, and this time around respond. Even SADC documented a detailed report indicating that the elections were unconstitutional. All multilateral institutions did so, but there is no one who came to the aid of the people of Zimbabwe. At the moment, the people of Zimbabwe are still alone, having to actually battle it out with ZANU-PF. At the moment, the greatest threat to the legally existing democracy, and let me say to the existence of all opposition political parties, is that Mnangagwa wants to abort elections completely. Now, they want to abort it for 10 years, but how many? If they abort it for 10 years, there is no guarantee that even after 10 years, they would love to go the route of elections. So there is absolutely no probability, or there would be any opposition political party leader that would be in existence. What if they are doing so to eliminate any dissenting voices? Because Mnangagwa has shown beyond reasonable doubts. He calls dissenting voices toxicity. If you read the PPI document that has been produced by individuals such as Professor Jonathan Moyo and his colleague, they call actually also speaking out against rigged elections toxicity. That makes the people of Zimbabwe not to unite, which is a lie, by the way. There is no way the people of Zimbabwe would love to be led by someone who doesn't want them to express their opinions. So, as much as Nelson Chamisa may not join others, I wish maybe if he is on his corner fighting alone, he can also equally fight the mutilation of the constitution. I just pray and hope he has the strategy also to employ to stop the mutilation of the constitution. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, we cannot force in a democratic society anyone to work with people whom he doesn't trust. There is lack of trust, most probably because of historical experiences with these individuals. It may be some, as they are asserting, not me, obviously, who says he was paid by ZANU-PF. We don't have proof about that. What we know is that he contested elections. He has been actually robbed elections. I mean, for 2 times. And what was mind-boggling, especially with the 2023 elections, we saw some of his allies keeping quiet in the midst of Sengezo Chabangu coming into the fore, only to speak when the harm was actually done already. So that might have been, you know, there is no one who is strong. Even if you are a leader, going through what Nelson Chamisa underwent twice definitely may actually make someone to behave in a manner he is behaving. Hopefully, he will heal from what Emerson. It's a difficult actually aspect to fight for the people and get the feeling that you have been betrayed. We should understand him from that point of view. But I hope, because he still, in my view, has actually influence in the politics of Zimbabwe, his voice on what Mnangagwa intends to do, as well as his actions, may actually make a huge change. I see someone saying we must first of all solve. Yeah, it would be a good idea, like what Job Sikala said, that it's not now a matter of who you hate, who you like. There are very few leaders who will actually make such a bold decision, but that showed leadership on my part. He has been betrayed also. He felt betrayed also, maybe by individuals like Nelson Chamisa, Tendai Biti, and others who were outside whilst he was languishing in prison for almost 2 years. That is why when he came out, he said, I would never actually join the party that neglected me whilst I was in prison. But this time around, he is saying, let us forget about this. If we can unite for the purposes of speaking with one voice and say enough, enough is enough. Let's come together and try to block this machinery, which is seemingly well oiled and prepared to mutilate the constitution. In my view, that makes sense. That really makes sense. But, well, Nelson Chamisa has his own choice. And I'm saying, in a democratic society, such choices should be allowed to thrive without even being called names. So the man should be allowed to think the way he is thinking. But I am of the firm view that if he could have joined, or if even as an individual he fight in another corner. You remember during the war of the liberation struggle, there was Zipra, which was fighting on another corner, Zanla also fighting on another corner, having one common enemy, even though the other one ended up for the other comrades. But initially, each was fighting for one common enemy. So this is what we expect. If we can, on his corner, actually fight on the other corner, fighting against the current problem. Hopefully that when this current problem would be defeated, those who will emerge would be actually prepared to carry out a national dialogue that is sincere, that would make sure that Zimbabwe does not go in circles. Otherwise, if it's a matter of power wrestling, and then when you get into power, you do what your predecessor did, then it will be a country moving in circles, something that we do not expect. So, yes. So, that is what he has chosen. there is absolutely nothing we can do except to hope that maybe the mind may change along the way. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. I will leave you playing one of my songs on my new album which I released last month entitled Uthando Lwakhe, and the song I will leave you playing is Uyindlela Leqiniso, which means you are the way and the truth.
Ole qiniso,